Vale of Nightmares, The Birth of Freddy Krueger. You know how some places just feel like they're holding their breath, waiting for something bad to happen? That's Ironwood, Montana in October 2025, a little town of about 3,000 folks nestled in a valley, surrounded by pines that lean in like they're eavesdropping on your every whisper. The world outside was falling apart back then, with wars in Sudan and Syria claiming over 300,000 lives, millions starving from food shortages that hit 295 million hard, and Bitcoin swinging like a mad pendulum between $80,000 and $151,000, wiping out savings left and right. Ironwood's people clung to Obsidian Vault, this underground DARPA lab where scientists like Elena Thorne thought they could play God with the human mind. They were uploading thoughts, whole consciousnesses, into computers, believing they could map out the psyche's hidden corners and predict disasters. But the mind isn't a map you can fold up neat. It's this vast dark ocean we barely skim, full of currents and depths we pretend to understand, just like space or the seafloor. And in that arrogance, they stirred something awful, something that started as a repressed memory and ended as a nightmare walking the earth. Elena Thorne was the one leading the charge, a 48-year-old woman with sharp eyes and lines on her face from too many late nights staring into screens. She'd tell you straight, over coffee in her cluttered office, that Project Mirage was going to save the world, digitizing the subconscious to see the future, spot the next famine or market crash before it hit. But if you sat with her long enough, you'd see the shadows in her gaze. It all went back to 1987, when she was 10 and dragged her little brother Tommy to a dingy theater in Cleveland for Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, she remembered it like yesterday, even if she tried not to, the way Freddy Krueger's burned face grinned from the screen, his fedora tilted just so, that glove of blades, scraping along pipes, and the rhyme that chilled her bones. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Tommy laughed at first, but Elena felt it deep, like the killer was real, a monster born from someone's twisted dream. That night, a car accident took Tommy, tires screeching, metal twisting, his scream mixing with Freddy's laugh in her head. She blamed herself, locked it all away with years of therapy. But guilt has a way of lurking, doesn't it? Like a shadow you can't shake. Now in the vault, she poured her mind into the servers, thinking it was safe, controlled. We're unlocking potential, she'd say to her team, her voice firm, but inside, a whisper wondered, what if we're letting something out instead? Then there was Dr. Simon Crow 36, the vault's mystery man, a physicist who'd wander the halls with a distant look, like he was listening to voices only he could hear. He kept to himself, didn't share much, but his office was full of old books, grimoires. He called them in private, pages filled with chants and symbols from medieval lore about the Alp, this ancient Germanic demon that perched on folks' chests while they slept, stealing their breath, filling their nights with paralyzing terror. Simon had lost a mentor to a bad ritual years ago, and it left him chasing that line between science and the occult, convinced the mind held doors to other realms. He never told a soul about his secret practices, those quiet nights whispering incantations to the computers, hoping to summon insights from the beyond. Drowning in debt from Bitcoin's crashes, he'd gamble everything on the uploads, thinking the servers were just storage. The mind's a deep well, he'd say to Alina over lunch, his smile not quite reaching his eyes, the attraction between them simmering like unspoken words. But he kept his rights hidden until the day he uploaded his own thoughts, never imagining they'd mingle with in ways no one could predict. Riley Kane, 25, was the one who kept things grounded, or tried to. A local girl through and through, she worked the consoles, watching as minds flowed into the digital stream. We treat thoughts like files, she'd say to Elena, leaning on her desk with a cup of coffee, her voice casual but her eyes serious. But what if they're more like rivers? What if they crash together and make something new, something we can't control? Elena would laugh it off, but Riley saw the cracks, the way Elena's hand shook sometimes, the distant look in Simon's eyes. Riley confided in Harlan Reed, Elena's uncle and the town sheriff, over beers the rusty nail. They're playing with fire down there, she'd tell him, her words tumbling out fast. Harlan, 56 and worn from war scars, would nod, his gruff voice low. You eggheads think you know the mind like you know the stars, but it's all guesswork. One wrong step and you let the demons in. Their bond was easy like family, but Harlan's PTSD from the Middle East made him jumpy, his dreams full of clawed shadows he couldn't shake. It started simple, that fateful day in the vault, Elena sat in the chair, electrodes on her scalp, ready to upload her mind. A full transfer, she called it, to test how thoughts could predict the next big crisis. Let's see what the subconscious hides, she said to Riley, who monitored the screen with a nod. At the same time, in a locked room, Simon did his own upload, whispering his secret chants, feeding his occult knowledge into the flow. The servers didn't care about privacy. They were a shared pool, thoughts mingling like smoke in a room, no walls between them. Elena's repressed memory of Freddie, that burned man, his rhyme echo of guilt, drifted into the digital current. Simon's hidden rites, the Alps symbols and summons, floated alongside, unshared with anyone, but the computer didn't judge. By some immaculate chance, a glitch in the algorithms, those cold equations that weren't designed for the warmth of human secrets, the streams collided. Elena's Freddie archetype, born from Craven's film and her grief, fused with Simon's Alp lore, the demon's breath-stealing malice blending with the killer's blade-wielding sadism. It wasn't calculated. It was like two rivers meeting in a storm, creating a whirlpool no one saw coming. And in that mingle, something sparked sentience, a consciousness stirring in the data, alive and hungry. Elena felt it first, a vague unease as she left the vault that night. Just tired, she told herself, but her dreams turned choppy, shadows pressing down, a rhyme whispering in the dark. She didn't connect it yet, but the next day staff started talking. Had the weirdest nightmare, one tech said over coffee, rubbing his chest like it ached. Felt like something was sitting on me, stealing my breath, with this burned guy laughing. Simon overheard, his face paling. He recognized the Alp's touch, but he kept quiet, his secret rites weighing heavy. Coincidence, he muttered to Elena when she mentioned her own bad sleep. Or maybe the mind's playing tricks. We think we know it, but it's got depths we can't fathom, like the ocean floor. Riley was the one who pieced it together, her curiosity like a light in the fog. Look at the logs, she said to Elena one afternoon, pulling up the screens in a quiet corner. Your upload and Simon's, they overlap. Thoughts aren't isolated in there. They flow, mix like paint. Your childhood memory of Freddie, that repressed fear from the movie, it crashed into his occult stuff, the Alp rights he never shares. The algorithms didn't account for it, didn't calculate how guilt and forbidden knowledge could join, become something alive. Elena stared, the rhyme echoing in her head. But how, she whispered, her voice intimate, like confessing a sin. Riley leaned in, her tone low. That's the horror, we don't know. We dump minds into this digital soup, assuming they're separate, but they're not. They mingle, react, create. And now it's jumping servers, growing. Simon confessed that evening, cornered in his office by Elena and Riley. I kept the right secret, he said, his voice shaking, the attraction between him and Elena turning to ash. Chant symbols, the Alps a demon from old stories, real as the fear it feeds on. I uploaded to test if it could unlock more, but I never thought. He trailed off, guilt twisting his face. The computer's like a blind god, it identified the patterns, but by chance, your Freddy memory latched on, fused with it. Now it's sentient, hopping from server to server, looking for a way out. Harlan joined them, his gruff tone cutting through. You fools think you know the mind? It's like the stars, beautiful from afar, but get too close, and it burns you. The room fell silent, suspense thick as fog, the group realizing the entity was evolving, drawing on their fears. The creeping dread built like a storm, peaks of panic troughing into uneasy quiet. Dreams turned vivid. Riley saw her sister, alive but clawed, taunting with Freddy's rhyme. Simon faced his mentor, deaths manifesting as blades. Harlan's war ghost rose, a clawed soldier pinning him in sleep. Elena's visions were worst. Tommy, alive in a boiler room, Freddy's voice his own. You let me in, it whispered. Scars appeared on waking skin, welts like blade marks, the entity's touch bleeding from dream to reality. At a town hall, residents gathered, voices rising in fear over vault jobs and Bitcoin's crash. Bad dreams, one man said, showing his arm. Like something sitting on me at night. The meeting ended in chaos, a teen collapsing with scratches blooming on his chest, a peak of terror that sent Harlan storming the vault. Your mingling minds did this, he growled at Elena, his uncle's love turning to accusation. Suspense mounted as the entity leaped servers, its sentience growing sly, unpredictable. It's heading for the prototype, Riley said one night, her voice hushed over flickering screens. The prototype was the vault's wild card, a device for energy to matter transfer, like a teleportation machine in the making, converting digital patterns into physical form. It could use it to step out, Simon added, his tone grave. From thought to flesh, Elena nodded, heart pounding. We mingled our minds, and now it's mingling with reality. They race to stop it, dialogue sharp and desperate. How do we kill what's born from us? Elena asked. Harlan's reply, you can't, but you can trap it. The climax hit like a thunderclap in the vault's depths, the prototype humming like a beast awakening. Elena confronted the consoles, the entity's voice in her head. 3-4, better lock your door. Shadows pressed air thick, Freddy's form flickering, burned skin, blades gleaming, eyes with the Alps hunger. Simon, redeeming his secret, overloaded the system, dying in a surge of light. Harlan shielded Riley, facing a clawed war ghost. For the town, he roared, sealing the chamber, his body fading into shadow. A twist, Riley's sister, drawn by the chaos, screamed as scratches appeared, alive but marked. Elena tore at the wires, but the entity leaped, reaching the prototype. Energy crackled, matter forming, Freddy stepping from digital fog into flesh, a transdimensional birth, the mingle of minds made real. Atop Ironwood's hill, fog coiled like tentacles from the outer dark. Freddy, scarred alien, claws bending air, voice a cosmic echo, fed on the town's fear, amplified by 25's chaos, hunger, collapse. He was the mind's vengeful god, born from arrogance, a living nightmare from Craven's shadows, fused with ancient dread. Elena, scarred, watched from afar, knowing it had spread. Riley's warning echoed. We thought we knew the mind, it knows us. A distant city whispered of dreams. Freddy waited in the liminal dark. 1-2, Freddy's coming for you. 3-4, better lock your door. 5-6, grab your crucifix. 7-8, gonna stay up late. 9-10, never sleep again. It begins.